Welcome to the AP podcast. Today we have Mr. Thomas Monk. He's a returning coach on the podcast. Very, very smart guy. What's up, Thomas?
Going on? How we doing today?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. How are you doing? It's so funny, guys, because actually prior to this, we've already been talking, and
We've been talking for at least.
yeah. So this is like the intro, but anyways. Today, we want to go over some important topics to both of us that is really huge and for, successful dieting, fitness tips, fitness journeys and all that kind of stuff that doesn't even pertain to your nutrition, to your training, supplementation, any of that stuff. And the first topic, what we want to talk about today is how people compare themselves to others when they're trying to either like lose weight, get in shape, gain weight, or whatever your fitness goal is. A huge thing that I see, as well as Thomas, I believe, probably, is people start off by comparing themselves to people in the gym, their family, their friends, the people that are around them. And what we see, or I see at least, is it's a huge formula for disaster. And so I guess I'm going to let Thomas lead it off here and kind of give us some insight of what he's seen with some of his clients just starting out, and then how he's, kind of transitioned mindsets and stuff like that for people not to compare themselves and what the benefits are behind that. So go ahead, Thomas.
All right. So the first thing I want to kick off this podcast with is obviously, Austin, thank you again for having me on. And one of the things that I tell all of my clients, whether it's general nutrition, whether it's contest prep, whether they're an athlete training for a specific sport, is I'm going to hold this up. Let me know if you can do that.
You wrote shit down.
Right. So you have absolutely no control over your genetics. All right. Now, for who's ever watching this, if you could take a screenshot of that, take a picture of that, and just keep this somewhere where you're going to see it all the time, because you cannot change your genetics. I don't care what supplements you take, what you do outside in terms of extracurriculars, anything like that. You could spend thousands of hours in the gym. All right. Your genetics, you are predisposed to, but you have 100% control over your work ethic, your decision-making, and your mindset. And this is something that I preach because I'm also a teacher. So I teach it to my students as well. You could always be the hardest worker in the room. If your goal is success, if you continue to work hard, if you are consistent, you can achieve success. It may take you 5 times, 10 times, 20 times longer than somebody else. But if you want something bad enough, you can figure out a way to get there. And there's so many factors that go into this. So I just had a conversation with a client the other day. We're cutting down for a vacation that he's going on, and he was comparing himself to a competitor that I had. So he literally emailed me and said, I'm unhappy with my physique because I don't look like so-and-so. But the reality is there's so many variables behind a picture that people aren't seeing. So especially when you're comparing yourself to someone who is competing, they don't look like that year round. That's something they are getting ready for one show or multiple shows, but the objective is to have them at their absolute best the day of the show. Whereas if you're a general nutrition, general lifestyle client, there's so many other variables that you need to make sure you remember versus, okay, I just want a 6-pack, or I just want to squat 315 like one time. Now, is this something that you would agree that you kind of preach the same thing to your clients?
Yeah, I'd say that exactly what you said. I have people that I go through an application process and I really ask them, what are they wanting to achieve? And usually the first initial thing is I want to drop a number of weight, right? And then the next thing usually is I want to look like this person. And so those two correlations, both of them I disagree with, but I have it bring it out so then I can actually maybe change their mindset of your journey is your journey, not anybody else's. And so the work that you put in, it doesn't matter if you lose a half a pound or 3 pounds a week or whatever, you're progressing. And that's what matters the most, because without progression like that, and even if you do not progress, the mindset of motivation and sticking with it, consistency over the long term will outweigh those people with better genetics, in my opinion. And so I'd say that 100% of what you're saying is right. There's so many variables that go along with it. And like Thomas said, if you look at Instagram and people swipe through, and then there's forms of short-term motivation and looking at a picture that somebody's just shredded or whatever, right? Gets us going like, oh, I want to look like that. But with that, like Thomas said, that they're not like that year round. If they are, there's some different factors with drug usage going into play. And so I would say that also getting that body fat percentage, you're going to be a grumpy mofo. Like you're going to be just angry all the time. Your hormones are not going to be in check. So bad things are going to start happening there. Like Thomas said, that's for like 1 week, 2 weeks out of the whole entire year, potentially, because they got to get to that level for that long. And then after that, it's getting back. If you ever watch competitors after their shows, very important for people to actually gain body fat to the certain level where their set point is to actually get their health in check again. And I'd say that I'm preaching more of health and all that kind of stuff for people rather than looking good for, like that. Does that make sense?
I agree 110%. And I mean, also too, to kind of go off of what you were saying with the multiple variables, like when I'm addressing a new client, or even if I'm just talking to someone that I know who wants to look a certain way, you also have to look at how long have you been training? If you're someone who's had or made, I won't say poor lifestyle habits, but if you've just fallen into the consistency of, okay, well, this is what's readily available at this time versus taking the time to make sure you're making a health conscious decision with your nutrition and your training, it's going to take you a lot longer than a few weeks to undo what you did over a set period of time. So if you ate like shit for 5 years, don't expect in 5 weeks to look amazing. Or if all of a sudden you're doing a 30-day detox cleanse, don't expect to have instant results. Like, yeah, you're going to lose a good amount of water weight, and you may even lose some fat because now you have some type of caloric restriction and you're making decisions on what you're putting into your body. All this takes time. And having grown up in the world of instant gratification, I can tell you, especially as a teacher, and I see it in our society now, if it's not at a snap of fingers, people don't want to do it. If you don't have it in your head that you're going to be consistent and you're going to work hard and you may need to make some sacrifices, whether it's a fitness related goal or whether it's something that you want to accomplish in life, you're going to have an uphill battle. Like, it is going to take time and it is going to take effort. So if you look at how long you've been training, how long have you actually been making health conscious decisions with your nutrition? Also too, what type of body type do you have? Everybody holds body fat in a different spot. I mean, for example, the individual who was asking this question to me is an ectomorph. He's 6'2", and he's about 180 pounds. The person he's comparing himself to is, I would consider them a mesomorph. They're about 5'10", probably 195 pounds. And they came down in the picture he was looking at, he was 170 after dieting for 22 weeks to get on stage. So there's a discrepancy in not only body fat distribution, but just their overall composition and the amount of muscle maturity that person A has over person B. Two different styles of training. One is more CrossFit, interval based. The other is more standard bodybuilding based. So those are all factors that you don't see in the photo that are going to all of a sudden impair your judgment on how you feel about yourself and potentially downplay all of the beneficial changes you're making and progress that you're making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. There's so many factors that really go into play with the whole entire thing. And something that I'm sure that Thomas has probably even taught or teach his students is that what's called an internal locus of control. So your internal focus um, is pretty much you are motivating yourself by the internal things that are going on, your outlook, rather than allowing external factors like other people, the scale, the weight of all this kind of different things, the numbers and the external factors, what people think of you. If you let that control you, yeah, you'll get motivated a little bit, and then all of a sudden you go back down, and then up and down and everywhere else, and then it just seems like people fall off the wagon. And if you're listening to this and watching this right now, you've probably had stuff in the past, different programs, different coaches, or whatever it is by yourself that you've experienced that what it feels like to be so hard on yourself because you're not progressing how you think you should be. But if you, instead of trying to change the formula for what you're doing to get to that point, change your mindset of what the realistic expectation actually is. And social media does not do a good job of portraying that. It really does not. And so that's why you see so many influencers, you want to call them, that look amazing. Well, a huge role in that is going to be their genetics. There's a lot of them that I give them credit, like they work hard, but I would say that there's some stuff out there that they're not taking into account your mindset, your emotions, all that kind of stuff. They're more worried about just slinging some diet plans and stuff like that, right? And so
Selling their latest ebook.
Yeah, exactly. Which in business, kudos to them for gaining the following and doing all that stuff. But I'd say that it makes me feel better. It gives more value and more equity into people when I can help them or not only achieve their goals, but have the mindset coming out of it that they can actually help other people and they can sustain it as long as they want. So that's kind of what we're going through with comparing ourselves with other people. I think that Thomas would agree that the day that you can tunnel vision on yourself, I mean, it sounds selfish, but it's really not. You're actually going to be less selfish focusing on yourself, because then you can become a better individual for yourself to affect people around you. And so, yeah, I guess that's just my take on the stuff. Comparing yourself, like you said, this is a huge formula for disaster because you get super unmotivated, undisciplined, because I've actually been there personally. I can speak from experience, like everybody's probably been there, where they've compared each other, whether it's when I was competing to the next person or if it was like when I'm dieting with my buddies that just look crazy. Like, for example, my buddy that I moved in with, Lodge, I mean, his genetics are pretty crazy. But if you compare yourself to that, then it's like you're never going to reach the same genetic potential because mom and dad didn't make you that way.
Yeah, it's funny. You can sit there and you can pick yourself apart and you could put yourself next to a photo of somebody else and you're always going to find flaws. But I guarantee you that person who you're comparing yourself to could be, let's say, 10 states away, looking at your photo and comparing themselves to you. And you have no idea, because unless you're a social media influencer, and social media influencers, I will give them 100% credit for the amount of work that they do. And the ones that are real and transparent will sit there and tell you that they've picked themselves apart. They've had mental breakdowns. They've stopped competing for a period of time, and that they're just like everybody else.
Yeah.
100%. They're just like everybody else. That they're doing all the same things you are. Especially competitors, especially those who make their living off of what their physique likes. Mm-hmm. Right? There's so much stress involved in this sport, in this lifestyle, that you need to, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. You can't forget who you are. So, perfect example, when I have a client inquire with me, one of the first questions on my inquiry form is, tell me 5 words that you would use to describe yourself. They give me 5 words. Let's say I'm a hard worker, I'm a father, I'm a coach, I am emotional, and I'm influential. So they'll take those 5 words. What I'll then do is every single time they hit a bump in a road or they start to compare themselves to somebody else, I'll say, hold on, wait a minute. I said, I want you to go back and look at those 5 words you used to describe yourself. And then from there, we can have a conversation about where progress is going. All right, well, you told me you're a hard worker. I would never take that away from someone. I would never sit there and say, you're not a hard worker. Let's unravel everything you have going on in your life and then see if that is what's prompting your progress, or if we need to take a step back from the training and the nutrition side to make sure that you stay as a positive influencer, as a positive father, as a positive coach, as a businessman. I feel like a lot of times people just get lost in the realm of I need to make physical progress versus taking the time to also make those leaps and bounds mentally. And when you're mentally stable, you'll find that you can go a lot further physically. So that is just something that I'll do. And I even tell my clients, I'm like, I want you to put those 5 words somewhere where you can see them every single day. I know that a lot of people will do like quotes of the day. They'll wake up in the morning and they'll do like 5 things they're grateful for. You know, like I'm grateful for the fact that I have a wife, that I'm able to be on this phone call with you right now. But at the same time, like I also have 5 other things that I know I need to be grateful for, and I can't forget about myself versus just trying to be a good husband, a good coach, a good motivator. Like there's certain things that I need to do, and I don't want my clients to forget that as well about themselves.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That's exactly 100%. I think is very, very good way to put it all. I like that you do that 5 question thing, and it makes, seeing it or as many senses as possible, touching it, hearing it, looking at it, creates that habit. And I guess to kind of piggyback just one more thing before we move on to the next one. Essentially, I guess what I want to ask you guys listening or watching is your friend Sally, or whoever the hell it is, did this program. She lost 20 pounds, right? Good for her. Very motivated, all this kind of stuff. You want to do the challenge or the program or whatever it is. If you go into it with the same expectations as Sally, you don't, what happened to Sally afterwards? Do you know? Did she gain it all back? Did she keep going? You don't know. And I see a lot of times people with a huge weight loss, huge motivation in that short term, gain it back if they don't have that mindset shifted during the program. Because yeah, anybody can get results. I mean, it's not rocket science. It just takes a little bit of consistency and hard work with the right tools. But you will not maintain that if you don't change your mindset to not compare yourself to that person that, is doing all that stuff they're doing. And so I can even be straight up honest and transparent with you guys. I've had people go through 12 weeks or 16 weeks, only lose like 5 pounds. Had that happen, or even, stuff like that, where you're like, well, that doesn't sound like a very good program, but you know what's going on behind closed doors. And so that person started from a very high anxiety, very high stress environment, very high hard on themselves. And do you think somebody like that can go in and just start following an exact nutrition plan, an exact training program, exact everything, just like that, snap of a finger? No, and I don't hold that on anybody accountable to that level who comes from that kind of environment. But was she amazingly happy after the whole program? Yes. Even though she lost 5 pounds, she was stress-free. She learned how to handle her anxiety. She learned how to do all these things, and she actually kept going after the program was done on her own. She was able to continue those lifestyle choices and keep losing weight slowly, steadily. But would you rather do that and then gain it all back because you had some short-term motivation and then afterwards you had no idea what was going on? Ask yourself.
I think I'm not trying to beat a dead horse continuing the same conversation here, but I think what clients need to realize and what they need to keep present is like, what is their driving force? Like, why are you coming to Austin? Why are you coming to myself? Why are you going to this coach or to that coach? When I feel like when a client comes to me, and maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe this is why I've been able to form relationships with my clients, I'll ask them, why are you coming to me? What benefit do you think by working with me you can have? Because I'm 100% transparent. When I first get an inquiry with a client, I'll hop on a phone call. Hey, this is what I do, X, Y, and Z. But what's, like, I'll ask them, what is the issue? Like, what is going on? Is it just the fact you don't know how to get started? Or is it, like you said, you're suffering from some type of anxiety and you don't know how to deal with it? So it's just like you said, you kind of have to peel back layers. And unfortunately, what I've seen so much over time, and I'm sure you've seen it, is people will just hire a coach just to say, hey, I'm working with so-and-so, or hey, I'm part of this team. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what benefit is that team or that coach going to do for you? So this is like, anybody who watches this, before you hire a coach, have questions and interview them. And I'm not just talking about how much do you cost? What services do you offer?
First question always, yeah.
Please, anybody who's ever going to inquire with me, if you're watching this, do not hit me up and say, what are your costs for this? What are your prices? Because yes, you may be serious, but at the same time, I would rather have scared Sally, who you were referring to, that has anxiety and that may only lose 5 pounds, but potentially change her life forever, versus just someone with me who, like, hey, I just want to lose 10 pounds and then never speak to you again in my entire life. I would rather form a relationship with them and then 5 years down the line, get a random email being like, Tom, you changed my life because of what we did and you taught me these tactics. So interview your coach, ladies and gentlemen. Have questions ready with them and say, hey, I suffer from anxiety. What can you do to help me? You know, and like, it may be a fix nutritionally, where maybe you're having some bad digestion and like gut issues, or it could be, okay, well, we need to get you out of a sympathetic state and teach you ways to stay in a parasympathetic state unless you're working out. And the only way you can do that is if you're 100% real with your coach the entire, I don't mean to swear, entire fucking time. You can't like beat around the bush and like say things that you think your coach wants you to hear, that everything's going well and I got all my water in today and I ate all my meals. And no, reality doesn't fucking work like that with everybody. So just be real and tell us what's going on. If you can't like follow A, B, and C, well, then it's our job as a coach to actually conversate with you and figure out, okay, well, if A, B, and C isn't working, let's try D, E, and F. And that's going to involve conversation back and forth. It's not just going to be, hey, I'm sending you my email update, then me sending you one email back and everything's fixed. It may take 20 emails and it may take 5 weeks until we figure out the proper plan.
100%. I wish I had a button that just went.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like I just went off on a tangent, but I just had to get it off my chest.
I know it's important though. Like, just being us both, just coaching for a while now. It's like, you know, when I first started training, I thought it was like, just, okay, I got to figure out the science behind nutrition, the science behind the training, and like getting them all these numbers and the stats and blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, as time went on, I'm like, this really isn't that important as much as the psychology behind everything and helping people. So
the biggest thing, and I mean, I agree with you 110%. Like when I first started out, like I was working in a gym and I was like, same thing. I was like, all right, like I need to develop the perfect training program for this client, or I need to develop the perfect nutrition. But guess what? Life's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Like you can't just put a client into a bubble and be like, here's your master plan. Like it doesn't work like that. But if you
And
actually,
on top of that, you create that formula and you create all that stuff, and you when they're not getting results, you think that like it's your plan that's not working. So then you're hard on yourself. You're like, what the hell's going on? I can't figure this out. No, they're not getting results. But in reality, it's not that, because they're not the adherence portion is not there, and that's because of the psychology part of the coaching.
and two, like when, like I feel like because we're essentially working for the clients, like in a nutshell.
Recording podcast. You're on the video now. Now I'm fucking edit all this. What are you looking for? I have to fucking go in and edit all that shit.
So like in a nutshell, like when we get a new client, like essentially we're working for them. In reality, we're working for them. They're paying us to do a job. So like you need to have a conversation with them and be like, hey, how many times can you realistically make it to the gym this week? How many meals can you see yourself eating? You know, you get some people that are just like, okay, here's a 5-day-a-week training program. You need to eat 8 times a day. Like that's not feasible. Like if you have Sally from down the street, she only may eat 2 times a day as it is now. All of a sudden you're going to go from 2 to 8. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. Why not go from 2 to 3 and then maybe some snacks and a shake, or go from 2 to 4 and just make the meals a little bit bigger and things that she can digest. So like in my humble opinion, your clients need to have an input in their own plans. Because if you want them to adhere to something, they need to feel like they're part of the like if you can make them feel like they're part of the process, adherence is going to be 10 times better than just being like, Tom wants me to eat all this food. Austin wants me to go to the gym 6 times a week, but I can't because I have to go pick up my kids at daycare. Like you can do a hell of a lot of work and going to the gym 3 times a week and giving all out effort versus going 6 and giving 40 to 65% and being like, okay, well, I need to rush through my exercises and I have 6 exercises to do today. No, just slow down here. Just like, let's take a break.
For you guys that are listening, more from a client standpoint of trying to get some input, take note of that. So if you're a coach or if you're trying to pursue a coach and then you start with him or her and then they are making you do the certain thing because it's the only way, then I would revisit that that's the correct coach for you. Because like Thomas said, there is a lot of, stuff of, yes, you need to follow this, but there's usually more of a guideline perspective rather than this is exactly the only formula. Like that's just not, there's a million different ways to get there, but our job is to figure out the right way for you. And so you take that into account, that if you feel pressured or in a way that you're like, man, I just don't think I can do this. There's a difference between being scared and treating it as an opportunity and just flat out, this is just like my schedule. I can't do this. Nutrition, like I cannot eat 7 meals a day or whatever the coach wants to do. Like there's a difference. You got to go within yourself to really figure that out. But I'd say that don't let a plan, if you can't keep following it, you got to look into yourself and say, hey, am I trying my hardest, for one? And if I am, it's just not exactly what I can handle. In the way of reach out to your coach, and the communication should be there to the point where their job is to adjust it to fit your lifestyle and all that kind of stuff, as long as you are working hard for that.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, if you're a client that's watching this, just the average gym goer who may pursue working with someone, if you can't handle it, it's okay. Like that doesn't mean you're a failure. If you are trying your hardest, if you're trying to make progressive strides in your performance in the gym, if you're trying to take down all the food, or if for some reason, let's say you're in a fat loss phase and like you're starving and you just can't bear it anymore, it's okay to reach out to your coach and just be like, listen, like, this is what's going on. And then obviously dependent on your goals, you and your coach should be able to meet in the middle and just be like, okay, well, if this isn't working, why don't we try this? Because it could be something as simple as switching a few food sources. Like maybe, for instance, you're eating too many simple carbohydrates that are digesting too quickly, that your body just like burns through. And it could be a switch of, okay, well, why don't we try some complex carbs instead? So it could just be something as simple as that. Or, okay, well, if you're feeling burnt out, why don't we pull back on a day from the gym? Or why don't we pull back on some of the volume in your training program and see how progress goes then? So it's not that you're failing. It's just you may have so many other factors going on outside of the gym and in your life that it's hindering your mental capacity and capability with all the progress that you're trying to make.
Yeah, exactly. And, you guys will see that fitness professional that is coaching you as professional. He's supposed to know, or she's supposed to know everything and anything and all the magic and all the everything. But in reality, how the relationship's going to work would be very well off looking up to that person for their knowledge, but being as a team to communicate back and forth. So then you're completely transparent, and then he or she is completely transparent, because it won't work if you think that it's because it's their name, like the coach's name or the coach's program that you're in right now is going to give you the results. That's not what's going to happen. It's going to be dependent on, honestly, yourself doing that program, if that makes sense. Because I know a lot of people will sign up or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm part of whatever, AP Performance, right? Like my coaching. And then they're like, oh, posting it on social media, like, oh, just jacked or so motivated. And like, I'm so ready to get these results to look like so and so and so, like we're talking about before, comparing yourself. And because I've coached all across the board, from competitors to ROTC to Division I volleyball players to now, I mean, each and other different market or different people, demographics. But like, you got to look in within yourself to be like, okay, just because I'm on a team doesn't mean shit. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I just got to look for the coach that fits me rather than look at what he's already done. Or not that you're not looking at what he's already done, because experience with the coach is very important, but more of, okay, I'm a part of this program. I'm instantly just going to get the results because I can say that I'm doing the program, right? You can be confident in the program.
It honestly goes back to this. Like I said before, bro, like you have 100% control over everything you do. Like I have that quote up in my classroom. And when a kid tells me they can't do it, I point to the sign. I go, why can't you do it? Tell me why. If I look at kids, I say, if you can give me a good reason why, I'll give you an A. Give me a reason why. Well, I just don't feel like it. All right, well, that's how you feel. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. I say the same thing to my clients. Mm-hmm. Tell me why. Oh, it's hard. Anything new you try is going to be hard. Yeah. Like if I tried to go rollerblading right now, I'd fall on my ass. It would probably be hard. But if I'm consistent with it, it's like relearning to ride a bike, Yeah. Like you're going to fall. You're going to stumble. You're going to have days where you don't hit your macros. You're going to have days where you're short. You're going to have days where you're over. You're going to have weeks where you only get 3 out of 4 or maybe 5, 6 training sessions. It's okay. Like that's called life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. 100%. So I think that just like not beating yourself up so much is setting you up for more success in the long term. So, but I guess, kind of beat that horse a little bit. Is there any, so that also the topic that we're going to talk about is just how to stay motivated, but it kind of plays, I was going to say, it's kind of like everything we just went through as well. So I don't know if there's anything else, Thomas, that you want to kind of go talk about. You're just,
I mean, I would say one of the big things too, and I'm stealing this off my cheat sheet here, is
my cheat sheet. No,
see, that one's good because you can't even see it, bro. That really is the cheat sheet. I would say, I mean, we talked about making programs applicable to their lives, having real conversations with them. Um, One of the things that I really like to do as well is like every client, and whether you're a client or you're just a physique enthusiast, like everybody has a big picture goal, right? Like your goal may be, okay, well, I want to compete this year. Well, rather than just looking at that goal that may be 10 months down the line, make small, tangible goals along the way. And I mean, I'm sure people have heard this all the time, but it's 100% true. Like, if your ultimate goal is to compete, well, say 3 months from now, I want to improve my back double bicep. Like set up a training program either by yourself or with your coach to be like, all right, so for the next 3 months, let's work on bringing up my back and the peak on my biceps. You know what I mean? So that way, take a picture now, take a picture 3 months from now, like evaluate your progress. Because you could, I mean, someone who's involved in fitness and physique, like you're going to pick apart your physique on a daily fucking basis. So if you can go from, let's say, January to March and then compare those, like that should give you a good instinct of like, oh, damn, like I really put in my work and it shows. Or, okay, like I just squandered 3 months. Now I really need to pick up the pace for my end goal, which is to compete, you know? So I think making small, tangible goals, or even just like, I like to call them checkpoints along the way, where you can, okay, this is where I was, this is where I am now. And I mean, I feel like that's why progress pictures are so vital and so important versus just looking at the scale. Because at this point, I mean, it's all over social media. You cannot judge your progress solely by the scale because there's so many influences that can affect it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I agree. And even as coaches, I got this from Cliff Wilson because he actually will. I don't know if he still does it, but he used to set himself check-ins. If he's not having another coach look over him, he'll send himself check-ins with the whole sheet, even the questions of like, what's going on in life, all this stuff, and the way, but the pictures. So it's like tracking it, those baby steps. If you look at yourself every single day, you're not going to really notice a change. You're not. Like it's just because it's just how it is, and so you're used to it. So you're thinking, oh man, I'm not making progress. But if you forget the scale, all that stuff, and you take pictures from a week, and then 2 weeks from now, or whatever your time frame is for those baby steps, look at those things. Take it in the same light, same position, everything like that, and you'll notice a difference. I promise you. And so then that is justification of, oh, okay, well, I actually might be doing the right thing. And then, you know what I mean? So
Dude, I agree 110% with you. And I feel like too, this is a tip I give all of my clients. On your check-in day, take your photos before you step on the scale. Because the second you step on that scale and you don't see the number that you wanted or predicted, that is going to change your entire demeanor. And I don't care what people say, it shows, oh, I have bad head at first thing in the morning. It shows in your face, and then it shows in your biofeedback analysis, in your check-in. Take your photos, write your check-in, step on the scale. Because I guarantee you, your mindset will be completely different than if you were to wake up, go to the bathroom, jump on the scale.
Yep.
Now, obviously, granted, like, depending where you take your pictures, this may, like, come into play. But like you said, if you're consistent and the lighting is the same every single time, you can make leaps and bounds with progress if you do that process. I picked that up from, I believe it was a Facebook post by Austin Stout, and Kayla Duncan commented on it. She's the owner of OmniFit. I think they just do females, but I remember her posting this, and she probably posted it back in 2015. Wake up, take your pictures, then step on the scale. And it works both for males and females. It's
No, I like that. No,
such a great.
I really haven't thought about in that realm of things, but definitely can see and understand that that is 100%. Because I know, and you even know, say that you take pictures and you're like, no, man, I look pretty good this week. I look, whatever. You're feeling good. Look in the mirror, all of a sudden you're like spiked weight 3 pounds or something from last week. You're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what?
Like, it ruins people's day before their day even gets started.
Yeah.
Now, granted, let's say you take your photos, you think you look great, and then you step on the scale and you're up 1.5 pounds. All right, well, now if you look back at your biofeedback analysis form and you see, okay, well, I slept like shit 4 out of the past 7 days. I ate dinner last night an hour and a half later than I typically would, or let's say you had to travel for business that day, so you're up 2 hours earlier. All right, well, in those 2 hours, you could have gone to the bathroom 1 or 2 times. You're up earlier. Let's say you had dinner late, and maybe you had something that you typically wouldn't have had, and your body hasn't digested it, or not processed it and gone to the bathroom yet. So there's a multitude of variables that could be that 1 to 1.5 pound. But if you take that picture and you're like, damn, I look fucking good. Do you really think that 1.5 pounds is really going to make the be all end all difference when you have so many variables?
Yeah, I agree.
And again, I mean, that's when you have to look at a weekly average versus just that one day for body weight.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I like that with doing it how you do with the scale after the pictures, and then weekly average. And I just posted that video on different weekly deficit, looking at the weekly deficit rather than your daily deficit, in the sense of weight's going to fluctuate a little bit, but in the long run, you're going to progress probably a lot easier and more consistently, because you're taking account those lifestyle variables or the life variables itself. Like maybe you don't get to eat breakfast one morning, you're running late. Okay, cool. Let's just, let's adjust. Let's not be like, oh shit, I got to do this. Or
like you just said, say you miss breakfast. Okay, well, now I'm going to put those calories back in meals later in the day. Say you have a bigger dinner, you can wake up 2 pounds heavier from dinner.
Exactly. Like, for example, me, I was, prime example right here. Yesterday, I'm starting to cut again, because I don't know if you watched my story about some health issues that I had a little in the last and stuff like that. But essentially, everything is working again, I think, at least. And so I'm starting to actually diet properly and getting my stuff in check, and I'm starting to come down. And I was 170 pounds yesterday or whatever it was.
You want to drop 8 to 10 pounds more or something like that?
Yeah, I want to get in a range of where I'm at a good, the body fat percentage I think that my physique will kind of be able to maintain, but also look how I want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, so
we have the same scale. The same scale. That's how I knew it.
Yeah. So, but I was 170 pounds yesterday morning, right? And I want to get down to about 162, maybe around there. Pretty lean. Well, not pretty lean, but lean as I want to be, because my stage weight's going to be sub 150 to 145.
Just to hold a good composition.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this morning I backloaded, and I was like, man, I want to get in my meals. I want to eat my food. I'm hungry. So I actually stacked 2 meals that I usually have separated by 3 hours. And I ate both. I usually don't try and do this, but I ate both of them in one. So that was a huge dinner I had to just kind of make sure I got my calories in. And then this morning I woke up 2.5 pounds heavier. Right. And so it's if I look at that and I'm like, shit, God damn it, I thought I was going in the right direction. Then I'm going to have, it's going to be unmotivating for one. And I'm going to, either this is what happens is people see that and well, shit, I got to decrease my carbs or I got to increase my cardio. When in reality,
in reality, let's be honest. In reality, they do fucking both.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. In reality, usually people do both and add more fucking stimulants.
And I've seen add more cardio, cut calories out, like you said, fucking trip to buy a fat burner, and then they do more sets and more reps in the gym versus letting things ride.
Yep.
Like,
And so tomorrow, I'm gonna tell you, I bet you tomorrow, I'll post up a picture. I bet you I'm like 169.9 or whatever it is. I'm just gonna throw it out there. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. But I want to show you that it could be.
so you were 170.
Yep.
Then you were 172 today.
172 and a half.
172 and a half. All right.
What do you think I'm gonna?
Hold on. See, this is where like the coach and me.
Also, to give you insight, what I like, because I like to walk in the morning, and what I'm doing right now is I will walk for an hour in the morning. Right when I wake up, cup glass of water, and just get stuff rolling, blood flowing, and I get to go and I listen to stuff and I mess around and mess with people, all that kind of stuff for an hour. And then, so I do that 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I have my training, how I am doing is Monday, Tuesday, rest on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, rest Sunday. So what's today? Thursday? Yesterday, I didn't do my morning cardio, right?
Well, my next question was going to be, so you also didn't train yesterday.
Exactly. Well,
So you
did I not? No, actually, maybe I switched it up because my next rotation was starting on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday rest, and then Wednesday. Wednesday yesterday I trained, and today I'm going to train too.
So what'd you train yesterday?
I did only an upper hypertrophy day though.
So I'm thinking.
You gotta guess. What's your guess here, Thomas?
So this is what I'm thinking. What are you training today? Legs?
I'm gonna have to do because I'm training legs tomorrow with this girl that I'm helping out with her stuff, and so I'm gonna have to essentially stack up a little bit, which I do not recommend this. But today I'm gonna do an upper strength day, even though I just did an upper hypertrophy day. It was a little bit more of a lower volume day yesterday, though, as in the load. I didn't want to like exhaust myself to the point where I couldn't lift upper today, but I still got in on my sets. I just decreased the load a little bit, if that makes sense.
So I'm saying you're gonna end up. I'm saying 169.4.
Okay, we'll see.
So I'm saying a little bit lower.
Right now, my meals I got already a couple meals in. I'm on my right schedule. Have it all spaced out properly like I usually do, and so
I'm saying I'll say anywhere from 169 to 169.4.
Okay. Well then I'll let you know because I'll make sure and get a good sleep for you tonight too. That'll help out.
Because I just think just like we were saying, you didn't train yesterday. So obviously I don't know what your macros are, but you didn't do your walk. So in reality, you were in a surplus yesterday and you backloaded and you had 2 meals. So maybe we'll say that was 8, maybe 900 calories, like right before you go to bed. Granted, depending on how you slept, that could be the difference between a pound lost or a pound gained. And then if you did sleep well, all right, well, you're sedentary, your body's running, but you're not actively burning as much as you would have if you were exercising. So I think if anything, you probably just topped off glycogen stores. And at this point now, you're primed and ready to go for today. So yeah, I'm going to say 169.4. Anywhere from 169 to 169.4.
Okay, I'll let you know. And so that's a real life situation. What we're telling you guys right now is exactly what's going on. And do you see that I'm stressed out at all about it? Hell no, because you got to be used to how it goes. Especially with me, the thing is I backloaded calories. It'll put me up some weight, but also, dude, sleep is so crucial with me. Like it is crazy. And so with a lot of people, it is too. You get some shitty sleep, your weight's going to be fucked up.
If you want to lose fat, go to sleep. If you want to gain strength, make sure you sleep. Like there's a variable here. And like what you and I just did, like you describing what you did yesterday, like the fact that you stacked 2 meals and then me asking you questions, like anybody watching this, like that is how like your interaction with your coach should be. Like, it's not going to be just one email. Like, it's going to be multiple questions. The more you can provide your coach or maybe your second pair of eyes or whoever's helping you, the better it's going to be for you.
Yep.
Because the more they can provide you.
Yeah, exactly. And going into the conversation, you guys noticed how I was not stressed about the potential problems that you perceive. I was asking if, this is correct, or maybe can you give me some insight of what you think might happen next? And so that's just how you got to go into it, and just, trust the process, and believe in yourself that it's all going to work out. It always will. And so yeah. But anyways, anything else, Thomas? I know we're 52 minutes in here.
No, I think we rambled enough. I mean, if people made it this far, dude, I give them credit.
Yeah, right. I wonder what the average watch rate on these things are, But anyways, all right, brother. Well, hey, thank you everybody who is listening and watching today. Me and Thomas very much appreciate it. We hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, I'm going to put both of our social media stuff, emails, all that kind of stuff in the description box. Feel free to reach out to either of us, and we will definitely help you out.
And it was a complete spur of the moment, ladies and gentlemen, that we both just happened to be rocking the same.
Yeah, I got to give him some love. I'm not cool enough to put my shirt on his side.
I got to get me some AP Performance.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. Thank you, Thomas, again for being on here. I love it. I love this stuff.
Thank you.
I think this will help a lot of people in the sense of everybody thinks about the nutrition and training, but nobody thinks about this. And so if we can spread this to more people, I think a lot more people will be successful. So anyways, all right, guys. We will talk to you later. See ya.
All right, I'll talk to you later.